Welcome to the Brewmaster Series, where brewers from around the world share the incredible stories behind their journey, the challenges they've conquered, and the brews that define them today. Raw insights, bold creations, straight from the source. Cheers.
Ignacio, please tell me your name and your company and what we're doing today.
My name is Ignacio Castro. I'm the founder of Cervecería Eremitana. We are a small brewery that has a blend of fresh beers and some aged wild beers that we do in our barrels. We basically are a small little brewery that loves to see our clients when they try our beers, and we brew different beers every month just to learn and have fun with it.
If I look at those barrels behind you, I really get the impression that you have a lot of barrel aging.
Yeah, we lose a lot of money in that, but it's what really drives us. We love to try new things, and we keep foresting autochthonal wild yeast in our brews. And eventually, we are certain that we will get an Eremita flavor that will be recognized by everybody. Right now, we kind of recognize it, but still not a thing that everybody recognizes.
That means that you want to have your own mixture of yeast and whatever Brettanomyces and wild cultures that will be a signature for your beer?
Exactly. Our house yeast is a mix of some commercial yeast, some yeast that we steal from brewers that we look up for, and some wild yeast that we forest from our environment here in the Central Valley of Costa Rica.
That means that yeast that grows on fruit, on vegetables here.
There's some that grows on fruit, and there's some of what we call the poor man's coolship, that is some little fermenters, you can see it out there, where we take some hot earth and take it up to the mountain, on Escazú. We found some caves, and we put in there through the night. Most of the times we don't get anything beautiful, but we have already 2 times been successful on getting a wild yeast. One of the cases was like a really deep pineapple, and the other one was a peachy kind of yeast that we have added to our barrels, and they live in there, so they are part of the Eremita flavor.
The beer that we're trying to taste now is called
Mandanga.
Mandanga. That's a beer that has wild yeast in there?
Yeah, it is a blend of 3 beers. It has a regular saison with our house yeast, a rice saison, and some spontaneous beer that we ferment up in the cave. And it is our take on a saison, or at least it's what we would like to have a saison as everyday beer. We're really happy with it. I think we already had like 10 gold medals, so people seems to like it.
Well, that
Funny
means,
thing,
that
we
means, one moment. People seem to like it is judges like it,
Exactly.
but probably not your everyday customer.
Well, that's an interesting thing. Or everyday customer that come here looking for beer is not a fan of this one. But whenever we got people that come from the wine industry, they kind of love it. They say that is a Costa Rican Prosecco. I don't know how accurate that is, but we're trying to steal people from the wine business and let it come to the beer business.
While you open the bottle for both of us, I will ask you a question about what Brettanomyces does. Because Brettanomyces is a fungus. It's actually one yeast strain that many people don't like. because it was first discovered in the wine industry,
Yeah.
destroying wine. It was called the British fungus because it was destroying wine shipped to Britain. And then they said, well, that's the Brettanomyces, the one fungus that destroys the wines shipped to Britain. But then we find it in several beers.
Yeah, and wine people hate it, but we love it. So when we're focusing on getting some barrels, we want those barrels, the one that the wine people throw away. And it gives you, first, in the best explanation I can do about Brettanomyces, it's like a tractor. It will eat any sugar available. And it will give the beer this beautiful depth, like leather, or in our case, we got some, when it's young, we get some pineapple out of it.
But you also get some woody taste of it. You get some astringency.
Yeah. And I think it's amazing, I will add bread to all of my beers, but we don't. We keep separated the bread program from the fresh beers, we call them.
While you pour the beer, I will try to ask you about what you're actually doing here at this brewery, because most of the beers that you have here are easy drinking versions of IPAs, of Pilsners. There's even a light lager here, which I really liked because that's an easy drinking beer, very approachable, and only 2 point something alcohol.
Well, in our case, we're in Costa Rica. We have tried to learn from the amazing brewers that are all around, from Europe and the States, and we have tried to master their styles, okay? But once we got to be able to brew their styles, we think that beer is about companion or friendship and about environment. So we used to say here in Eremita that we tropicalize the styles. So the same oatmeal stout that you will drink in England in winter is not the same beer that you want to drink in Costa Rica in the summer. So
in hotter climate.
Exactly. So we have our version of an oatmeal stout is lighter, it's drier in the end. It has some honey, some cacao from Costa Rica, and we try to do that. So eventually, I will say environment has pushed us to do drier beers. And nowadays is how we understand beers. And it's not the same having a beer in Costa Rica that having a beer in the Czech Republic. So we try to adapt the styles to our environment. Cheers, Conrad.
Let's try that beer first and see. Well, you get a lot of bread on the aroma. It's very like leathery on the nose, and again dry, fruity.
A lot of fruitiness, right?
Fruity on the palate. The base beer for that beer was a saison.
It was a saison blend with a rice saison. Some years ago, it was almost a sin to have a rice beer in the craft movement. We love rice. I think it's a beautiful.
Is rice grown in Costa Rica?
Yeah. The same one that you buy in the supermarket is the same one we use in here. And I think that the rice gives to our beer a lightness and a silkiness that is beautiful. So basically what we do here, Conrad, is try to honor the styles of beer, making it easier to drink in our climate.
Going back to how you got into the beer business, what was your first experience with beer?
Oh, I feel embarrassed to talk about that. Because the first craft beer I tried...
Not the first beer ever had.
No, the first beer ever, I come from Venezuela, was Pilsen from Polar, an easy drinking beer. I grew up drinking that. But my first craft beer or different beer, because here in Latin America, we grew up understanding there's only one style of beer. There's a Pilsen, that's it. So once I wanted to try different things, I remember a friend brought me an Arrogant Bastard from Stone. And I must say that the first time I tried it, I couldn't drink it. It was too bitter for me. So I throw it. I feel ashamed of that now. And I think I cannot do this. Then I had a Cantillon, and that beer opened my brain for understanding what beer could be. And then I start brewing, as anyone in Latin America start brewing IPAs and those kind of things. Eventually, I got tired of the hops, the too much hops, and the idea of the mixed fermentation, of that experimentation, is what makes me wake up every day and come back to the brewery.
If you think of those things you've done in your career, which beer would you never brew again? Was there any beer where you say, wow, that was really, really, really going wrong?
Well, I remember once we tried to make the hoppiest beer possible. And it was theoretical, like 1,200 IBUs. It was a triple IPA. It was undrinkable. People love it because it was different and was high on everything, but I will never do that beer again. I may be getting older. So right now I'm only focusing on balance. It's the only thing that really drives us here in Eremita. We don't care what style we're doing. We don't care what ingredients we're using for the beer. The only important thing for us is after the first glass, you should want a second one. And I think that's the beauty of beer. Normally people talk a lot about technical things of the beer. And if I want to remember the best beers I have had in my life, normally I will always remember who did I share them with. And I feel beer is a social activity, and we like it to remain that way. That's why we opened this little brewery in the mountains of San Jose, where we don't do focus group to decide what beer we're making or not. We just throw the beer out, we serve it to our clients, and they tell us if they like it or not. If they like it, it will keep on the board. If they don't, we will do a different beer, and we keep changing. The same regular beers that you're drinking today have little or nothing to do what that same named beers will taste 2 years ago. We keep changing and evolving, and it's a good thing. And I think it's beautiful. We don't want to have a beer that lasts for 200 years. We just want to do the beer that we like to drink in this moment and share it with our clients.
In that very moment, we're sharing the Mabanga.
Cheers.
Cheers. And that beer, which is very strong on bread character, it's something that is unusual because Brettanomyces was considered a flaw in wines, in beers. Now people start to get a higher idea of what bread can do because it's in beers like Val, and now we get a different idea of what beer should taste like.
Well, I will say that the beauty of the beer is that any beer or any style that we know of has been made because it had the water and ingredients available at the place it was being brewing. So we have the German School of Beer, the Belgian School of Beer, the American or North American School of Beer, the English School of Beer. I would say it's about time for a Latin American School of Beer, where we can take all we have learned from other schools and add all the yeast and all the botanicals and all the fruits that we have around here. This beer has some wild yeast that we have collected from the mountains in Escazú. And I think it's beautiful, the fruitiness that this kind of, I don't know, I really don't know if we're talking about a bacteria or some wild yeast, some kind of style of Brettanomyces, but the fruitiness that gives to our beers, I think is beautiful to have in this climate.
You have the freedom here to add fruit from your country. I know that in your stout you have chocolate,
Yeah.
and you have different fruit, even in an IPA.
Yeah.
You have strawberries.
Yeah, that's a beautiful beer we brew with the guys of Collective Arts from Canada. And yeah, we don't have here in Costa Rica any malting company. We don't have any hops because we're near the Ecuador, so we can add to the beers our botanicals and fruits. And we have a lot of those. So we try to experiment with those. Uh, and I keep thinking that Latin America has something to say to the beer history. And that's what we're trying to put a little grain in that.
What I found out, I started here drinking a very light lager, only 2.5%.
Yeah.
We're still a lager taste. Very clean beer, probably using caramel Pilsner from Wyoming.
Yeah, we do everything with Wyoming. We love Wyoming.
And you talk to them which malts you want to have?
Well, when I started brewing in my old brewery, we didn't have any malt around. So Weyermann didn't have a representative here in Costa Rica. So they asked us to buy from Chile. So we needed to pay for a malt that come from Weyermann to Chile and then to Chile to Costa Rica. It was nonsense. So I called Weyermann and say, hey, I want to buy malt directly from you. And they told me, well, we can do that, but you need to buy me a complete container. We were really, really small by the moment. So what we did was we called every brewery that we know around and say, hey, do you want Weyermann malt? Say, yeah, we want. Well, I cannot fill the container, but with all my peers, we can. So we started doing that. Eventually, Weyermann understood they had a market here in Costa Rica, and they made business with some company that imports raw materials, and we have everything we want now from them. And they have been beautiful enough with us that since we started bringing the Weyermann malt, they have an agreement with the new importer that they need to keep the prices that Weyermann used to give us. So Weyermann has been essential for the movement here in Costa Rica.
You mentioned the fact that some of the yeast collection you did not go very well.
No.
What was the worst thing that you experienced?
Oh, vomit. I will say that the worst one smelled like vomit. So we throw it away, but we keep doing it until we find something beautiful, and we find our peachy bread, as we call it, and our pineapple bread that is clearly amazing, and we keep trying. I don't know how many times we're going to be successful with that. We're trying right now to get some yeast from botanicals. So we have some rosemary, some curry worth seeing what we get from there. And if anything tastes well, we will send it to live in our barrels and let's see how it goes.
If you think about your beer and music, maybe now having the mandanga, which music would pair with that?
Funk. I'm pretty sure it will be 70s funk, Latin funk. I will say that's the music for this kind of beer.
So we're talking about Latin American beer and Latin American music.
Exactly.
Let's
Cheers.
drink to that. Thank you.
Thank you.